The service manual for the HP3467A is quite comprehensive in most ways, except for the printer. There's very little information about the printer. The only area that it really covers is removal and installation of the printer, and in fact, if there is an issue with the printer, Hewlett-Packard's recommendation is that the printer be returned to them for either service or replacement, and that's not particularly useful. So I did a bit of digging. First up, I started with Groups.io, the HP Agilent group, and I found one short posting about 10 years ago saying that the printer module used in the 3467 was in fact the TopCat printer, which was used primarily in Hewlett-Packard's printing calculators such as the HP 91, 92 and 97 and others. So that at least gave me some hope that because there was more of those products out in the marketplace, that there would be some aftermarket solution to the gear problem. Next, I went searching for the service manual for one of these calculators and turned up the HP67. That has quite a good section on the printer, has an exploded assembly diagram of the printer, so that gives some good insight as to how the thing's put together. The next thing I did was to just go straight to eBay and see if there are any sellers selling gear wheels for those printing calculators, and yes, I found a few. I think all up there are about 2 or 3 that were just selling gear wheels. I purchased some from 2 sellers. One person was providing 3D printed gear wheels, and the other one was providing cut brass gear wheels. So I ordered some 3D printed ones, ordered 3 of those because they were cheaper, and I ordered only one of the brass gear wheels, as to me that would be more durable than the 3D printed plastic ones. The 3D printed gear wheels arrived first, so that was the first type of gear tried in the unit. Okay, so now if I turn the power on, the unit's up. Now hopefully, if everything is working, I should be able to get the paper advance to work. I'm just going to feed the paper in. Doesn't seem to be feeding all that well. So that's the next issue, to try and see why the paper is not feeding. Okay. Why is that not printing? So, and that's interesting. I'm just wondering whether that gear wheel's failed again. Alright, we shall remove the front panel yet again and see what we see. So this gear wheel
looks rather eccentric. It's like either the hole is too big or something has fallen apart. So what we're going to have to do is remove the printer assembly again. I suspect, because it didn't sound very good, the sound of the printer was not rather good, and I'm guessing, and this is why I got a brass gear as well, because I was a little bit suspicious of the 3D printed part. While 3D printing is fine in a lot of instances, when it comes to moving parts, it really is important to make sure that the type of plastic that's used in the printing process is going to be durable. And this may be a good lesson for anyone that wants to replace these with a 3D printed wheel, that you may find that it may not last very long. So let me just get that screw out of there. We now should be able to lift that out. And in fact what's happened, what's happened is the 3D printing, I'll just get this out, and it looks as though, now it's not, I thought that had separated. So what's going on here? It's certainly the hole in the gear wheel looks to be eccentric, and it's much larger, so the gear is not really turning properly. Okay, so let's have a look at some of these other wheels that we received and see if they're similarly bad. So we'll put another one on here. Now, yes, the gear is rotating eccentrically. It's not, and it is actually jamming a bit. So, alright, let me try. That was the one I think we used. This is another one. Let's just try that. Now, okay, that one seems like maybe okay. So, but I have a doubt whether this really was sufficiently accurate to be only about it. Oh. Okay, that one seems like it may be okay. So we'll put but I have my doubts as to whether these 3D printed gear wheels are sufficiently accurate to be of any long-term benefit. Now that's why the printer actually stopped working, was this cable has come detached. So maybe I'm falsely accusing the gear wheel at the moment, but I am not happy with the eccentric motion of two of these wheels. So what we'll do is we'll just get this back on. Okay, now and I think it might be working. It's not advancing very well. Okay. Alright, so let's put timer on seconds, start. Okay, so we've got a drive issue. Alright. So we've got a feed issue with the paper now. So how to fix that? That's the next thing.
Here we see two paper advance mechanisms, one with the original Capstan rollers and the other with new rollers installed. The advance mechanism on my unit was even worse than the original one pictured here, as there are also flats developed on the surface of the rollers, so it had deteriorated quite badly. The other day we received the brass gear wheel, and one thing I didn't expect from this particular seller were two rings, which are the Capstan roller rings that replace the deteriorated ones on the main paper advance drive mechanism. So that was a bonus that I hadn't expected, as I was looking into a source of those before this arrived, but fortunately didn't act on any purchases because we've got these as part of the package, so that's good. So the next thing we'll do is to actually pull this printer back down again, give you an idea of what needs to be done here. This section here has to be removed, and to remove that you have to remove the head, because the print head is actually on the face of this side of this plastic, bearing against here. And to remove that, you actually have to remove the upper and lower slide bars and this lead screw. Then once the head is free, there are two screws that hold the head onto this plastic, which have to then be removed so that you can actually get this away from the paper advance mechanism. And then with all of this opened up, the paper advance mechanism just clicks out of the plastic. And once that's done, then we should be good to actually work on that mechanism, replace these and get it all reassembled once again and test. So first of all, we'll remove these circlips on the gear wheels so that we've got access to everything. So I'll just bring that over here so we can just drop those in. Then the new gear wheel that we put in can come out. This gear wheel is a bit tighter on the shaft, and it's got a flat on the shaft, so it will not rotate relative to the lead screw. And it is quite a tough thing. We've just got to be careful not to damage anything. There we go. Okay, so that's off. Then the next thing we do is remove this circlip, and that, along with the circlip on the other side of that bar. That bar will now push through. Right. So now the next thing that we need to do is remove another circlip. Okay. All right. Right, now we've got this circlip here, and there's, can't remember now whether there's one on the other side of that. This bearing here also pops out like so. And it's possible then to wind, no, we have to get the other bar out, the other support bar, and if I remember correctly, that one should just push through.
that's right, there is a circlip on that one. Now, I've got to remember what we had to do. We wind that back. I had a feeling that we could push this far enough in so that we could come out this way. That's right. No, you've got to take the circlip off. Oh, I think that was the thing we had to do. We click the... Yes, okay. This is what we had to do too. I think for safety reasons, i.e. not losing the spring, we take the springs off that apply pressure to the idler wheel bar. Just make sure that we don't lose any of these, because this is parts are not easy to find, and that should then click in and move up. Oh, that's right, that bar comes off as well, so that's ready to come out. We have to get the circlip off of there. Yep, that's out. That can now pull all the way through. That's our bar out. Then with this now basically released, we can if I remember correctly, we can lift that. This will now that lifts, and that one lifts, and we should be able to get that one out, and then the other one should then come out. More easily than that. Maybe we had to get that bearing out of there as well. Push the bearing out of there. I think that loosens everything up like so. So now that's a bit simpler, and then we can wind that more through there and lift that out, and then we can then wind this right off of the, so that takes our lead screw out. Then we have two little screws, and we'll just get the right size screw screwdriver. There we go. And we can then undo these, just loosen these off very carefully. And if I remember correctly, we only need to remove one screw, and this will swing, allow the head to swing away from this housing. And give us that was not fair enough. So we can let that swing that way, that the head comes off, and we can now put that to one side. And this is the advanced mechanism for the paper. Right, now I put these on with super glue, but they didn't actually hold very well anyway, so that's the piece without with the friction drives removed previously. And the next thing we've got to do is work out what we have to do to put these new ones on. So first up, what we're going to do is see that they will fit as we expect, at least fit onto the end of the shaft. And these do look like there might be a bit of an issue there. What's the size in comparison? They're about the same. They're slightly smaller diameter than that. So I'll just have a close-up look at these. Okay, with the plastic step removed that was used with the original Capstan material, that it looks like the original Capstan material was moulded around that piece of plastic. It's with that now cut away so that the shaft is just flat all the way. You can just push these two little bushes on, and they seem to be quite solid onto the shaft and not wanting to rotate. So for now I'm not going to even super glue these on, because I don't think it needs it. If it does slip or whatever, well then we'll have to use some adhesive, but we'll try it without to start with. And it looks fine, and in fact looks like the picture that is on another eBay seller's site who actually refurbishes these printer assemblies. And if you're not confident in doing this reassembly or refurbishment yourself, for a price, send him your printer module and he'll refurbish it for you. Basically just changing this, and I think there's an extra charge if you want a new gear wheel. But we'll see how this goes. drop the printer into position. Put some screws in. I'll need a different head. Okay. Now, we'll resolder the ground on. Sure we've got a bit of tinning. Okay. Now, these two connections, oops and ground, and here okay, we've got our motor lines there. Okay, we can now get all these front panel ribbons plugged in. Okay, that's one. Two. Three. And the printer ribbon. Get that plugged in. That all looks pretty good. You should be able to just pop this in. Go. So that's all done. Open that, ready to accept some printer paper. Okay, we've got some printer paper and we've got a mains cable. Right. see if this works. Okay, power on. We had a seek of the head. Okay, we've got paper advancing, which is good. Let's get the paper in there and close the door and run the test. And it looks like we're getting consistent print now. That's excellent. Okay. And we'll go to 4, which is the cycling and printing test. So as you can see, the printing is evenly spaced, and seems to be working fine.